Good afternoon. My name is Judy Calloway, and I'm here today with you to share my story of survival and hope, and how without Volunteers of America, I could have ended up on the streets. I'm a Desert Storm veteran of the United States Army. Thank you. Thank you. I served 12 years in the military, and I never imagined that one day I would be homeless. At the age of 18, I enlisted in the Army. My basic training was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, or some know as South Kakalaki. And then it was off to Fort Gordon, Georgia, then to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and I was assigned my first telecommunications job, where I spent time in Germany, then Missouri, Washington, D.C., Walter Reed, and Presidio, San Francisco, California. Eventually, I trained as a veterinarian assistant, which I never imagined, that would lead me to supporting my brothers and sisters and fellow soldiers in Operation Desert Storm. Because I could read animals' records, I was trained to read medical records and inform the service members of the immunizations that they needed before they suited up to go to Desert Storm, Afghanistan or Kuwait. Military, you do as you're told to do, no questions. I watched so many soldiers, some who were my friends, leave and never return. If they did return, they returned with wounds, missing limbs, post-traumatic stress disorder that changed their lives and my life forever. During my service, I met my husband, who was also in the United States Army. We had 3 sons while in service, Philip, Darrell, and our youngest son, Robert, who at 3 months was diagnosed with ADHD. Having a family in active duty service was challenging, but we made it work for us. After serving 12 years in the military, I was honorably discharged. It was around the same time that my husband and I separated. My sons and I returned to my hometown of Paducah, Kentucky. We stayed with my father, James Glore, who was a World War II veteran for a little while. Then I decided to move here, where we had more family, and my sons and I would have more opportunities. I held various jobs, like at the post office, where most veterans go, Goodwill, call centers, warehouse jobs. I worked whatever job that I could in order to provide for my family. After my 2 older sons moved out and started careers and families, it was just myself and my youngest son, Robert. We did fine on our own for a while, and then one day I received a notice of a rent increase. It was enough to tip me over the edge. It really was. Because we were living paycheck to paycheck. I had no other choice but to move out of our home. I didn't have enough money for a deposit. I couldn't save. or for first month's rent. So we moved all of our belongings into storage. My son and I tried to find a homeless shelter where we could be together, but no one would take us in. Robert was 20 years old and not technically my dependent, but needed my support. I didn't know what else to do or where to go, so we had to separate. I stayed with a relative and later in a shelter, while Robert stayed with one friend to another friend to another friend who were willing to take him in. Our life was absolute turmoil. I felt like I had let my son down and I had failed as a mother. I knew we couldn't continue like this. So I called the Veterans Administration's hospital for help. And that's when they introduced me to Volunteers of America, for Veterans and the Families program. I learned that they helped veterans just like me, and not just like me, and not just me, but also my adult son. With their help, we were able to secure our own affordable housing, and not only did they help secure my housing, they helped me secure our furniture, made sure we had household goods, and had groceries in our refrigerator. I felt like I could breathe again. I no longer had to worry where we would be laying our heads at night, because we had a home. We had a home. Today, Robert and I are independent and financially very stable. Robert is a self-employed, self-taught music engineer. He stays very busy helping artists record their music. And he made me a proud grandmother to a very strong, sweet 2-year-old little girl named Riviera Journey. And boy, what a journey we've been on. As for me, I'm working the best job ever. I'm a senior specialist at the American Red Cross, Services to the Armed Forces Call Center. And we currently assist all branches of service: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, DOD contractors, and DOD civilians in war zones. The call centers, we send Red Cross messages to service members' commands requesting they be released from duty to our country to come home because of that family emergency. My story and circumstances are unique to me, but the challenges that I faced as a veteran are unfortunately not unique. There are hundreds of veterans, right here in southern Indiana and across the bridge in Louisville that are not making ends meet. They're not. They struggle transitioning back into civilian life, as I did. They struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder and other medical issues. They struggle with finding a good paying job, as I did. They struggle to provide for their families, whose needs are no different than the needs of my family or yours. They are veterans just like me. They are families just like mine. They are families just like yours. It should not be this way. Can I get a witness? Thank you. Together, we can work to make sure that veterans do not have to face the same circumstances my son Robert and I did. You being here today is a first step. First step. I'm asking you all to stand up with me, and support our nation's veterans and ensure that because of their sacrifice for all of us, they are not sacrificed in the process. I am proud to have served my country, and I am proud and grateful to have been served by Volunteers of America. Thank you to Volunteers of America for your service to our country. Thank you, board members. Thank you, everyone, volunteers, everyone. Thank you for letting me share my story.